All right, this is a quick how-to remove all of the window trim on a 2024 and probably a 2025 GMC Sierra Denali 2500 and 3500s. On YouTube, I could only find videos on how to remove the bottom molding reveals, and I needed to remove all of the window trim and the appliques, which are the side pieces. So just a really quick walkthrough. If you are removing the entire trim, which means the back panel here, which looks like this, and then you've got the two black pillar appliques there and the front applique by the mirror. Okay, so first of all, starting with the back door, there is a bolt up behind here to remove that back trim piece. And then there's a bolt up by this trim here to remove the center pillar applique. So to get to this bolt, you do have to, it's really tight if you don't remove the door panel. You might be able to get to it, but it's really tight if you try to bend there. So what I did, again, you've got two bolts in the cup to remove. You've got one bolt right there in the bottom to remove, and then it's just pops. You pop the plastic out all the way on both sides and the bottom, and then you'll lift up on the interior door panel here, and it will pop up out. Then the lock is just sitting in place with a little bracket, so that will come out. And then you've got your door handle, and that's just a simple squeeze and pull, and you'll see the wire or the door handle latch will come out. And then there is one or two connections for the speakers, and again, you just clip that and pull that up, and the entire door panel will come up. It's very simple. Anyways, after you get that taken off, you can then easily pop this out. These are just door pops all the way up to here, and then you can get to that bolt to remove that back trim piece. On this side, there is a bolt right here holding this trim piece on, and then up here, this is just snap pops, so plastic, you pop that out, and you've got the one bolt right up in here that you need to remove for the middle applique. Once you have all of that done, the trim pieces, you will see you can pop those out, but there are sliders right there and right there, but they are positioned in the opposite direction. So most likely you're going to break those little orange tabs, but this bottom will pop up. So pop, pop. The middles will most likely break, pop, pop. And then again, that's where the bolt is at the top. You have to undo that bolt. Once that's undone and all the 3 or 4 plastic pops are either broken or unhooked, you can then slide this back out of that top trim panel, and that's how you remove the back trim piece. For the bottom reveal then, and actually you should probably remove this one first, so it makes it easier to pop out the two side appliques. Let me show you that one real quick. This is the bottom reveal. Goes right there. And there is the bolt right here mid-door on the front of the back door that you undo. And that bolt screws into the back of this trim piece. It's right there. So the bolt unscrews right there, and then the piece is then loose, and it's held in by these trim pieces. The trim pieces will be stuck inside of this reveal, and then it's pushed down into the door, and it retains in there like that. Now, if you can get a pick up under there and you can push on these, it will release, and you can release that off of the door. But I was not able to get a pick in there, and so those pieces broke off. And I went to Amazon and purchased a bunch of replacement pieces. They're a different color, but they do have them on Amazon. So anyways, I believe there's 3 of them in there. So I just started on one end, and you pull up on it and you can see the orange pieces. And if you can get that pick in there and release them, then you can pull it straight up out. If not, those trim pieces will break. They are plastic, and then you just replace them as you go. All right, for the center pieces, the center appliques, you can get these off without breaking the little plastic tabs because they are aligned in the same direction. So you undo that screw at the top that I talked about in the first of the video, which is right there. So there's the trim piece. You undo that screw at the top on the inside, and then you can wiggle and slide this trim piece up and out, and you can see that those are aligned with those little plastic pop-in tabs. And again, these are really cheap tabs, so if you just want to buy a new bag, it's probably good that you do that before you start removing your trim, but you can slide and pop those all off without breaking those pieces. All right. And then the top trim piece, you can see that these trim pieces slide in and out of each of the other pieces. So you can see that it slides onto this trim piece that is riveted into your body, and then it slides into the other trim piece that I was just showing you to remove that applique. And again, you can remove, and if you remove the front, you can slide this forward. You can remove this back one and slide it off there, and then this will just pop straight off. There's no clips in the middle holding that on. And that's it for removing the trim pieces for the back door. The front is a little bit more tricky because you do have to remove, I remove the mirror just to have more room. And we'll show you how to do that really quick. But again, because I'm removing everything and there are screws that you have to get to up inside of the moldings, I'll show you what you need to do there. So I've already removed the door panel. Again, there were the 2 bolts going down in the door cups, and then there are 2 bolts on the bottom of the trim that you'll see, and they're just open to view, and you just unbolt those, and you pop them out of all of these plastic pop tabs. You pull on the door on the bottom, pop, pop, pop. The sides will pop out, and then again you can lift up on the trim piece, and it will pop off of the rest of the mounting gear that it's sitting on. For the door lock that I was telling you for the back door, you can see that this just slides into the door trim, and it sits there just like that. And then to remove your door handle cable, your actuator cable, very simple. Again, it'll be plugged into your door trim, and you push down on this clip and you pull the clip this way, and it will extend this pull handle wire, and then you can pop that right out of the slot that it sits in. It's very simple. And then you do have the larger connection that you need to disconnect from your door panel, and then that pops off, and you move that out of the way. Then to remove your mirror, there is a plastic piece that sits right there. You pop that out. You'll see 4 bolts. I think it was a 12 or 13 millimeter, somewhere around that size. Anyways, unbolt those. Take your clips off of the back of the mirror, and then on the other side you can just pull the mirror right out, and it will slide right out. You can see there's the mirror over here. And again, it's just the 4 bolts, and it pops right out. Undo the bolts, undo your wire connectors, pops right out. Okay. Then to remove the applique on the other side and unbolt everything, you see that this trim piece that sits here, that just pops off. There's some pops in there, so pop that out to gain access to everything. And for this area here, you've got, again, to take off the applique that is right here behind the front door, or the front mirror. You have to, there will be a bolt here and a bolt here. Now, once you remove those, let's see, where did I put it? This applique sits right there. Now, once you remove those two bolts, they are bolting into this black piece. You can then just pop this off. So pop, pop, and see, they're the two bolt holes and the plastic tabs that pop into the body. And then you've got one plastic slide clip right here that you can, it'll probably break. I think I broke mine. Again, these little orange plastic tabs are very cheap on Amazon. But anyways, pop that out after you unbolt it, and that comes apart. Now, where I messed up is that this was riveted on, and I didn't know it. I thought it was one piece. So there are 3 pieces riveted on. So this rivet right here will keep this entire plastic piece on. This rivet here on the front door will keep this plastic piece on for the trim, and this rivet here. Now, if you are removing those, you simply drill them out and you can re-rivet those into the door. Very simple if you have a rivet gun. If you wanted to remove this entire piece without breaking it like I did, you would of course have to drill that out. Again, it's just a simple rivet, and this whole thing would pop off. And then you've got this one pop tab here. So once that rivet is drilled out, that will come off, and then you just slide that off, and your piece will be disconnected. And then really same thing for the rest of the trim. Like I said, this will have a bolt at the top of this one. You just pop this piece off so you can access that bolt hole, take the bolt out. You can pop the bottom of that, the center applique off, and slide it off of those 2 tabs without breaking, because they are aligned, so you're good to do that. And then slide it off of there to remove that. And again, for the bottom window trim, again, same thing. You start sliding up on those, and those little clips, again, look like this, and they stick inside of that door trim, and then that pops down and retains just like that. If you can get a pick in there and push on this bottom piece of this clip, you can push it and it will come right off for you. I was not able to do that, and so I did break a few of these clips, so I bought a whole bag of them for like $10 or something. All right, so that comes off. This trim piece, just like the other one, for the top of the window, it will be slid onto here. So after you, again, if you are removing this trim, this is supposed to so this front corner piece and this whole top here is supposed to be one piece. So after you drill this rivet out and pop it off of this pin down here, you can then take that whole piece and pull it, and it will slide off of this trim piece here, and it's tucked up into this lip on the window, but no other pops. So again, drill out the rivet, take it off there, and I believe there, and maybe one there that I broke off, and it slides out, and that's how the door comes off, or the door trim. Now the pieces, let me see. Here they are. These are all of the clips that I bought on Amazon. So you can see what they look like really quick. All right, so those are the replacement door clips. Came in a bag of 20 or something like that. And the bag of these little orange pops. You can see replace right there, right there, right there, and a few others that I broke. And I've got some yellow ones too that came inside the package. All right, well, that's how you remove your trim. And hopefully this saves some people some headache and some broken clips. Thanks.